Pacific Palisades neighborhood is ablaze. Another big fire is raging in the Altadena, Pasadena area. The flames are being fanned by fierce Santa Ana winds, and as of now, forecasters say there isn't any relief in sight. Dangerously cold temperatures settling in across parts of the South, courtesy of a polar vortex. Some cities have opened warming centers for those who don't have heat or inadequate heat. President-elect Trump vowing to, as he puts it, unban energy exploration, searching for oil and natural gas in millions of acres of U.S. coastal and offshore waters. And former President Carter's body lies in state, the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. On Wall Street, stock futures in the red. This is SRN News.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 39. Winds out of the west, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight, lows dip down to about 16. Slight chance for snow tomorrow. Highs level off around 35. Cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 36 Friday under clear skies. 44 Saturday. Looking at the long range, 38 Sunday, 38 Monday, and 41 on Tuesday. Another look at the short range. We should top off around 39 today. Lows level off around 16 tonight. High of 35 tomorrow. A dusting of snow tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, it's 4 degrees above zero.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay, things people love.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
We need 3 more at First in Maine, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs able electricians.
Grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Accomplishing goals is hard. But when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio is the place to turn to weekdays for the latest agriculture news and markets. Being a member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters, we take pride in making sure you're informed of the latest news from the world of agriculture. Whether it's local, state, regional, or national, if it affects your farm or ranch, you can count on hearing it here. Daily reports from Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio are made possible by Farmers State Bank, Norder Supply of Scott City, Cornerstone Ag, and Woofter Construction and Irrigation.
Forget the fruitcake this year. Put something under the tree they'll actually love. Colby Country Trader Gun Shop has a range of firearms, ammo, and accessories to make your holiday merry and bright. Stop by and find the perfect gift because Santa's going tactical this year. Merry Christmas from Colby Country Trader Gun Shop.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the Insurance Agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out the great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guy is everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown. Kansas City.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
High post with Libby Cure. Backdoor cut to Jason Gable. Gable lays it up and in, and the Cowgirls have their first lead. Beautiful pass from Libby Cure. And now a steal by Bierman on a sloppy pass from Galliard, Delilah Galliard, and Bierman puts it in. Here's the Cowboys. Once again, a bucket to take the lead. Brumbaugh going to take it to the cup, lays it off the window and in with the left hand. Brumbaugh with 8. And the Cowboys have taken the lead.
Here's a steal. Coleman Hawkins will drive and stuff it. Hawkins now with 7. Kansas State back to within 52 to 41.
Hawks don't have a timeout. Trey from midcourt to win it.
Yes!
He hit it.
Baby!
Trey Young
in
hits
the house.
the buzzer.
Trey Young!
Atlanta wins the game.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. We're back on the Morning Blitz. As always, broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and WKSradio.net. Our video streaming on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, no matter which way you are doing so here on another chilly start to a day. Single digits for some, 10 degrees currently in Goodland. Clear skies, but we're going to have one of the warmer days of the week. 37 expect to be the high today. Golfing weather if you're Max. So out there chasing the what you got.
I'm not a winter. I'm not a winter golf guy. I'm really not.
You shut her down?
I shut her down for a bit. Yeah, when I'm back home, we do some indoor simulator golf back in Kansas City.
KC, yeah.
It's just not enjoyable.
You golfed year round in Florida, though, I would bet, for the last
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Winter golf is the best time to golf in Florida because it's a little cheaper and the weather is perfect.
Yeah. Same thing in Phoenix. I'm more of a Phoenix golfer
Yes.
now. But same type of thing. No, I am with you. If I'm not going to Phoenix or going somewhere warm, I'm only golfing in the summer. And honestly, I'm only golfing during the off season. Like I have a hard time, and it's worse with kids. And someday maybe you'll be blessed with that feeling. But it's hard to get out and golf when you have kids too. You're like, well, we got other things we got to get worried about and take care of. So I don't play as much golf as I used to. I still enjoy getting out there and playing every now and then, which I probably get out a handful of times now every year. But usually I'm one of those golfers that I just love to play different courses. I playing the same course every single time just doesn't do it for me. So I like to play different courses and kind of do that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's definitely not golfing weather today, folks. We're just talking about golf here on a Wednesday morning. We've got lots to get to today. Riley Gates is going to join us from On3, hopefully today. Yesterday it didn't work out. We got too long-winded in the first segment. It happens. But Riley Gates is kind enough to spend some time with us today. We will talk with him about the college football playoff, which resumes tomorrow. I know it's weird. It's a Thursday-Friday college football playoff semifinals. So we'll get to his thoughts on that. We'll touch a little bit on K-State basketball, who suffered another loss last night at the hands of Oklahoma State. They're in Stillwater, one of my favorite Big 12 arenas, Gallagher-Iba Arena. So we'll get to that with him coming up here. Maybe talk a little college basketball as well with Riley Gates of On3 Sports. We will talk college basketball ourselves in our third segment. Look back at what happened with Kansas State. Nebraska also lost in a semi-embarrassing fashion. We'll get to that coming up. And also housed last night did Tennessee. We'll just get touch on that a little bit more in the third segment. And yesterday we had the discussion of what I said. They need a real leader of men to come in and be a head coach at a lot of these spots, including the Chicago Bears, which I thought was the most appealing spot yesterday in our discussion of the best head coaching jobs available in the NFL. The Bears are bringing in someone who could do that I had kind of semi-forgotten about, and we'll get to that in the walk-off. And so I feel pretty good about that here this morning. But how you doing? How you feeling? Feeling good this morning, Max?
Good. A little tired, but we power through like we do every morning. I'm doing good. It was there were some other sports going on last night. There were NBA had a pretty solid night, I must say. Trae Young hit that half-court shot that you
the buzzer beater,
in the Open. 40-year-old LeBron James had an insane dunk that went pretty crazy last night too. So it's cool to see that. But yeah, then high school hoops.
Yep, high school hoops back in the swing of things here on yesterday. So getting back to action for so I know a couple of teams like Hoxie and Decatur Community played on Friday, so they kind of got a couple games in. But for a majority of our listening region, the season resumed last night, and there were some good games around the region. I'd say there were some good ones up north with Shiloh and Juanita Palisade, Nebraska. How about Shiloh beating the Juanita Palisade girls, or WAPA, as they are known in Nebraska, 54-53. That was a really exciting game there. There were some really good games inside the Max Jones Fieldhouse. We'll get to that coming up as well. A great girls game in Colby between Hoxie and Colby. We'll touch on that as predicted. Oakley girls beating Decatur Community 48-41. You had Wallace County beating Wheatland Grinnell girls 47-27. Some other girls scores there. Oakley, you had Oakley boys winning 53-46 over Decatur Community. Wallace County beat Wheatland Grinnell 58-26. Shiloh beat Juanita Palisade and boys 51-36. Just a few of the area scores able to track down last night and early this morning. If I missed any, please, by all means, hit me up on the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222. Michael chiming in today on the FB Bank text line, talking about his Celtics beating down on the Nuggets last night. So Nuggets having an interesting year. Not as dominant as they have been in the past at this point in time. But anyway, back to high school basketball. I want to talk and give our thoughts on the recap of last night, particularly the big-time games between Goodland and Holcomb, which both games featured all four teams that were in the gym last night were all ranked in 3A. Holcomb girls, Holcomb boys, Goodland girls were all ranked according to the KBCA. So it was a great night inside the Max Jones Fieldhouse. A couple of very close games. Goodland did not win either of those games. Holcomb got the best of the Cowboys and the Cowgirls. More on those in just a little bit. Hoxie and Colby duked out an old Northwest Kansas League bout over in the event center. Colby boys, as I thought, won pretty handily over Hoxie, 71-53. And the girls' game, it was Hoxie that handed Colby their first loss, 48-43. Max, let's start with the girls' game. What were your thoughts on the ladies last night in that close win for Hoxie over Colby?
Yeah, I think it was pretty similar to what you saw from the Lady Eagles before winter break, of them kind of coming out sluggish and not the level of basketball that I'm sure Coach Walker wanted or that they would expect from themselves. The problem was that Hoxie is a much better basketball team than Cimarron, so they were not able to close it out at the end and really extend a lead. The biggest moment I believe in this game was the Eagles were up by 8 with about a minute to go in the third quarter. And in a blink of an eye, that lead was almost essentially erased in the final minute of the third quarter. Also, just to throw this out there, they had I cannot remember. Hold on. I have my roster right here. I will look and tell you. It was, I believe, Allie Gurley, who hit a half-court shot at the end of the second quarter, which was unbelievable, by the way. I just wanted to give a shout-out to her for that because that was incredible. But no, the last minute of the third quarter really changed things, and then the fourth quarter was pretty much all Hoxie, and I just don't think that the intensity was where it needed to be for this basketball team. Credit to the boys because I think they really did a good job coming out with intensity in their game, but yeah, a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes. And it just, I mean, I really don't think that they play that much different necessarily than they did before the break. It's just Hoxie was a worthy competitor, unlike some of the teams that they had played. So a lot to clean up for sure for Coach Walker.
What stood out to you about Hoxie and how they played?
They just hung in there. I mean, they really did. They just matched. I mean, Bainter was fantastic throughout the entire game. She's a difference maker. She really is. But they were able to get her the ball and let her do her thing offensively. But they had good pressure around the perimeter on defense, and they just hung in there until the fourth quarter when they were like, all right, now we go. And a lot of teams fold in the fourth quarter. Hoxie definitely did not do that. So credit to them, and they've got a good basketball team. I don't think they got the best version of the Lady Eagles last night, but the version that they got show that they can lose a basketball game because they've been undefeated up to that point.
You got to give Coach Easton Schlipke some credit. He's done a great job taking over that program for Coach Hoyt, who had that thing rolling. I know there was another coach in between there as well, but she really got the ball rolling, and he has picked it up and kept it rolling very well for that girls program. They've done a great job developing their players, and there's something about when you're a small school like that, when you're a smaller school. And you get to play the big schools from the region, the energy is going to be higher. Like, we get a chance to knock off the big dogs. All right, let's do this. And, and they've done it, the last couple of years. They've beaten Colby. They beat Goodland last year. They had Goodland in their own home gym, and Goodland lost to them. What did the Cowgirls? So, they take advantage of their opportunities against the big schools, and I give a lot of credit to their girls and to Coach Schlipke and what they do. That's a really good program. They're more than likely going to be vying for a spot in the state tournament, I would think. Maybe making a deep run in the postseason. We'll find out. But that's a really, really good girls basketball team there in Hoxie. So I was not surprised by the closeness of the game. I was not totally surprised by the outcome, just because I didn't really know exactly what to expect from Hoxie, but I figured they would be very competitive. But yeah, it's a nice little, I don't want to say it's a wake-up call, but it's a nice little reminder to Colby, hey, you know what? We got to bring our best every night or we're going to get beat, especially by teams that are just as good as us. And Hoxie is definitely one of the better teams in the area.
Yeah, and a quick unofficial box score from that game, released on the Eagles side. Logan Nolan with 3. Elizabeth Barton had, let's see here, 17. Allie Flanagan with 8. Shaylee Holzmeister with 8. Bryn Stanley with 3, Sadie Cheney with 3, and Emily Flanagan with 1. So, I think
they got to get more out of Logan Nolan. And I'm not trying to slight the young lady there. They just need more from her.
Yeah.
They need her to just be a little bit more aggressive. They need her to get 6 to 8.
And she was, I think she was honestly more aggressive than previously, where she wasn't getting a shot up until maybe late in the game in some games, and it hadn't mattered because they're playing, some lesser opponents. But in most of her shots coming from 3. She started off the game with the first 3 points, and then didn't score, at least in my box score, until the end of the game. She didn't score at all. So they need to find someone else.
She's a phenomenal point guard. I love the way she controls the game, and She's got a ton of experience under her belt. I think they need just a little bit more from her offensively to kind of help push them over the top. How about the boys' game? Much more Colby friendly in that one.
Definitely much more Colby friendly. I mean, the boys, they came out of the gates with intensity, which is what I was saying the Lady Eagles were lacking, and the brand that they're playing right now and going back to their Cimarron game, which is, everyone's touching the ball. The first part of the year, and when they were on that losing streak even, it was just kind of Jordan Jones, Guy Tubbs, and then no one. Who else is going to score? And now it's kind of everyone else is getting a piece of the pie. Grant Stevens has his shot back, which is huge. That really opens up a lot for this Colby offense. But this Braden Foss had a huge game offensively. He had 18. Guy Tubbs also had 18. So those were the leading scorers. But Foss is getting a lot more aggressive. He's not shooting the three ball, I don't think, as well as he would want to. But he is getting more aggressive, which is great because I think he is the third best scoring option on this basketball team. And then Max Kirstenbrock has been really impressive off the bench as the sixth man as well. He's really athletic for his size, and he's been playing some great defense. So really, everyone had a good game for Colby, and it was a runaway. They were up by 13 at half, and then by the end of the third quarter, I mean, I think they were up by 20, 21, and it was not really close. There was a small run for Hoxie in the fourth quarter that led, because Colby, this was a little, upsetting from a Colby standpoint. Was fourth quarter, you're up big, and they were just chucking threes left and right and could not make one, and that led the lead down to, I believe, 12 at one point before they started to, hold on to the ball a little longer and ice that one out. But besides that, it was pretty smooth sailing.
Yeah, Jake Moss, head coach for Hoxie, he was there few years back, left, and then has come back to the program. He'll have that. He's getting that program back in the right direction. They were in a really rough spot for the previous few years, and he's going to get that program going back in the right direction. You can kind of already see that with the last few games that they have played. Even in a loss to Colby, they're definitely an improved team from where they were just a few years ago. But a split for Colby last night inside the event center. It was a sweep for Holcomb over Goodland last night inside the Max Jones Fieldhouse. The Goodland Cowgirls lost by 2, 46-44 was the final score as Holcomb got the best of the Cowgirls. It was a very interesting basketball game because Holcomb got out to a 9-0 lead thanks to 3 threes out of the gate. Boom, boom, boom from Hallie Jones. Hit all 3 threes. They were up 9-0. Goodland called a timeout, reset, and was back within 1 by pretty much the start of the second quarter, right into the beginning of that second quarter. And Goodland was able to keep it close throughout. I mean, they would be, down by 1 multiple times, down by 2. They'd actually were down 14-13, in the second quarter. And then all of a sudden, Holcomb went on what was a 6-2 run and put themselves up by 5. But Goodland came out in the second half, made some adjustments. They led 25-23. Early in the third quarter, but Holcomb would take the lead back going into the third, 32-31. And then the fourth quarter, once again, kind of a back and forth affair. Goodland got up by 3, and then Holcomb ended up being up by 4 by it's all said and done. And Goodland would get it close again. They'd actually have it tied at 44. Hope Bierman made 2 free throws to tie the ball game up at 44 with 2-point-some seconds left. And then, unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure if it was a miscommunication or just a little bit out of, I think it was a little bit of out of control. Body movement from Allie Cure. She bumped into one of the Lady Longhorns and bumped into her, and that was a foul with 1-point-some seconds left. They were already in the bonus, and so Holcomb goes to the line, makes both free throws, and they win this one 46-45. Goodland could not get a shot up with 1.7 or 6 seconds left, end up losing this game. It just seemed like turnovers were the biggest thing from the Cowgirls last night. I mean, they had 18, which wasn't a season high, but just some critical turnovers. Had multiple opportunities to kind of either get the lead or pull away when they had the lead, and give credit to Holcomb. They got in there, they got scrappy, they knocked the ball loose from the Goodland ball handlers, and Holcomb made shots. They finished 7 of 22 from 3 unofficially. Goodland went 2 of 9 from 3. The Cowgirls have not shot the 3 ball very well here over the last few games. They've got to find a way to at least have somewhat of a pulse shooting the 3 ball. I mean, Hope Bierman hit 2 in the fourth quarter from behind the long line. But other than that, just not much falling from the outside. And so the Cowgirls have got to get some shots to fall a little bit better. Libby Cure had another solid game. That's back-to-back 12-point performances, which tied her career high. And Hope Bierman, she had 12 points all in the second half after being held scoreless in the first, and then had a career-high 7 boards. She worked very, very hard in that game. But Cowgirls just need a little bit more offense, and they got to be a little bit more tighter on defense, particularly defending the three-point shot when a team like Holcomb goes out there, because there were about 3 or 4 shots that Jaylee Wickwer shot from Holcomb that were halfway down. I mean, they went down and popped out. She had to think she was cursed. She hit one in the fourth before it was all said and done. But Goodland's got to get a little bit better about defending that three-point line. And Bill Bierman talked about, we played great for 2 possessions, then we kind of dog it on the third. We've got to learn to play all possession strong. So we'll see. Good win for Holcomb. They've beaten the Cowgirls now 2 in a row in the Max Jones Fieldhouse. In fact, Holcomb was the team that ended the Cowgirls' 43-game winning streak last year in December of 2023, before the holiday break. And so we'll see how the Cowgirls respond. They've got a game coming up here against Ulysses, and then a very tough game Tuesday against Colby. So that's on the docket. The boys' game, for those who didn't know, outside of Goodland, Lincoln Cure did not play. Lincoln is down in, I believe, San Antonio, getting ready for the Navy All-American game. So they did not have their second leading scorer. They did not have their third leading rebounder at the Cowboys. That was a huge advantage for Holcomb, because Holcomb doesn't have a lot of size, and they kind of took advantage of the fact that Goodland didn't have one of their top 3 players on the team. And Goodland got off to a slow start. They were down 10 in the first quarter. They were down 15-5. And if it wasn't for him, it's funny you bring about Allie Gurley and her 3-point. Braylon Mole hit a 3-quarter court heaver, banked it in to give the Cowboys down by 7 instead of down by 10 going into the second quarter. That sparked a huge second quarter where the Cowboys outscored Holcomb 18-4. And they would lead 28-19 early in the third quarter. Give Holcomb credit. They got on a little bit of a roll. They had a run at the early part of the third quarter and at the end of the third quarter to put themselves only down by 3. And then in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys just really couldn't close it out. They didn't make shots. Brady Brumbaugh had 25 points and 4 boards, but nobody else reached double figures for the Cowboys. And Coach Dahl talked about, he said it a couple times this year, we've got to be better about moving the basketball. He calls it ball has energy. The ball has energy. He's got to be better moving the basketball, sharing the basketball, and getting the open looks. Then when we get open looks, got to make shots. And it's hard to say this after what happened last year where the Cowboys hit, at times they were shooting anywhere from 39 to 42% from 3 as a team. This year, they're down around, 32, probably after last night, probably sitting around probably 30, 31. It's a big difference. You drop 10 percentage points in your 3-point shooting percentage, that's going to change your game quite a bit. And so, to me, they've got to find a way to knock down more shots, and they just need a little bit more production from everybody else besides Brady Brumbaugh. I thought they got great effort out of Blair Lennon last night, who had season-high tying 8 points and 5 boards, but they just need a little bit more scoring from other places. And I don't know. It's just it was a tough loss, but if you lose by 4 to a top 10 Holcomb team without one of your better players, I don't think you feel too terribly bad about that. And the Cowboys had, just like the Cowgirls did, every opportunity to win that game, just couldn't find a way to really pull it out when they needed to.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask how you felt about, without Lincoln Cure, them losing by 4. It's not the, there's no such thing as a good loss, but
they had foul trouble. Zach Thorson, who really needed to step up and have a bigger game, had 2 early fouls in the first quarter. 2 very early fouls. I'm talking within the first minute and a half. And so he sat on the bench a majority of the first half, and it's really hard to get in a rhythm when you do that. And they could have used more from him. They could have used a little bit more from Mole and Cedarstrom, a little bit more there. Just not like they had to go off for like 15-point ball games, but they needed to do something to alleviate without having Lincoln Cure there. And once again, they took some shots. Some shots didn't fall. And that's one thing. Once again, I just always remember Coach Dahl telling me a few years ago, he said, one of the keys game is we got to make shots. It's simple as that. We have to make shots. We're not going to have a chance if we don't make shots. Well, the Cowboys through this year early on are not making the shots that they were making last year. That's the tough part. They've been able to make up with it because they have the length and athleticism to kind of bully other teams. But when you don't have one of your key star players, that's a difficult thing to overcome last night for the Cowboys. And, they had some, I don't know, I personally thought they had at times some poor attitudes, getting frustrated over not getting a call or frustrated over, whatever. And you just got to play the game. Just go play. Yeah, you're going to get some calls. You're not going to get some. Yes, some were missed, some were not. It's the way it goes. Keep playing the game. Keep giving effort. You got to keep going hard all the time. And so that was a big thing. But wrapping up here, I did want to kind of just throw a few thoughts out towards this. So a few years back before COVID, me and a buddy of mine here in Goodland, he called me and he stopped me and he goes, "When do you think the last time Goodland boys and girls won on the same night?" Like it was really tough. We're going through a tough time in basketball for really a tough time for Goodland sports. And he goes, "When do you think the last time Goodland basketball boys and girls won on the same night? So they got a sweep of an opponent." And I remember thinking, I don't know, it'd been a long time, probably back to like, 2013, would have been 2012, maybe. It would have been a long time ago. So in that case, it'd probably been, 5 years, maybe something like that they'd won. And anyway, and so we were laughing about that, and then it happened. And so last night, as I'm walking home from the Max Jones Fieldhouse, I thought, boy, Goodland got swept at home by a league team. I wonder when the last time that actually happened, because it's been a while, because the Cowgirls, of course, had that great stretch of 43 straight wins, and the Cowboys have had a great couple of years here. So I had to go back and I looked it up, and it was January. They lost at home to Hugoton back in January, I think, of 2022 was the last time that they were swept in a league game, and that was down at Hugoton. I think that might have been 23. I take that back, 23. But then you go back to, I think it was 21 or 22, the last time they lost at home and were swept, also by Hugoton. So it had been a long time. And so as just a different perspective, Max, I said, think about where you were. You were talking about when's the last time that we swept someone to now, when's the last time we were swept by someone? Different perspective.
Absolutely.
Different perspective to look at it. And so, and then the best part is there's games to come. Teams will get healthy. They'll get better. They'll improve. So yeah, that'll be very interesting.
It'll help to get your 6'8" center back as well.
That will certainly help. That will certainly help.
Yeah.
By the way, Texter chimes in. It was Avery Mock who made the half-court shot.
That's okay. I'm glad someone corrected me. I was not, when I said that, I was not confident at all.
Yeah. Avery Mock.
That's
Avery
right.
Mock.
It was
Thanks,
Avery
Avery.
Mock with
Good
that.
shot.
Regardless, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, there was 2 seconds space in from the other side of the court. Banked it in. I mean, usually those are not close. Are not close.
It was the same thing for Braylon Mull. He just chucked it up there from pretty much the Goodland bench.
Yeah.
Banked it in.
I was it caught me very much off guard.
Yeah. So Hugoton 2022 was the last time the Goodland Cowboys and Cowgirls were swept in a league game. Yeah. And there was a questionable call in that game against the Cowgirls that did not go their way. It was extremely questionable. And I'll leave it at that. It was extremely questionable. There were a lot of angry fans exiting that way. And one more thing, Max, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I have, and you probably haven't, I guess, but because you haven't been here as long. But one thing I've noticed at the last couple of games is that we're starting to see younger officials make their way onto the floor. And you probably haven't seen this much because this is your first year, but you see a lot of the same officiating crews come through the area to officiate games. You see that. And last night, there was a 2 older gentlemen that I've seen before, and then a young gal that was officiating with them. And I've started to see some younger officials get into the game, and I think it is fantastic. But I do know that there are some times where some calls were made in last night's game, and this young official might have jumped the gun on one, or maybe made a tough one. I'm not even going to be mad at this young official. I have so much respect. If you're going to put yourself out there and try and be an official and learn the game, there are going to be bumps along the road. You're not going to be perfect your first game out. And I know there were calls that went against both Goodland and Holcomb that this crew and this official made that got them upset at times, both in the boys and the girls game. But you know what? I don't want to sit here and I'm not going to bash them in any way, shape, or form, because I'm proud that we've got young officials coming out and wanting to be a part and help officiate these games. Look, there's going to be some questionable calls. Guess what? It happens. They're not perfect. It's okay. I'm just happy that we're seeing these young officials, young men, young women get out and officiate these games. Kids that are probably your age, Max, maybe a little bit older. But they're out there and they're officiating these varsity games, and you got to learn the speed of the game. You got to get better at that kind of stuff. You're kind of getting thrown into the fire. It's okay. I'm all fine with it. I know some of the times the coaches got mad about some stuff. You know what? You got to realize that we need more officials, and they're doing the best they possibly can. So shout out to the young officials out there. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Definitely. And it just reminds me of this summer in Greenville, because the umpires that they have in Greenville are all or in the Appy League, I should say, are all like the from the Umpire Academy that goes into the MLB.
Yes,
so
MLB Umpire Academy.
Yeah, these are all umpires that are kind of training to be at the next level, and a lot of them are very young, and a lot of them are very not good. A lot of them are not good, and we have all the MLB technology to say, okay, this guy's actually really not good. I mean, there was an umpire that had.
Yeah, the track
I'm not
man.
even kidding. We had the track man, so we had an umpire. We can, I would look at all these umpires. Okay, this guy is this percentage. This guy is this percentage. There was an umpire that unfortunately was let go because he had a 16% correct call rate behind the plate. 16%. You got to think about that. So it's a tough job no matter what sport. But you're right. It is good to see young people. I mean, I feel like I haven't seen any. So it's been mostly
be on the lookout. Be on the lookout,
though.
for younger officials, kids around your age, maybe a little bit older, that are out officiating the game. And I know last night there was a young official that had a couple of questionable calls. But you know what? I'm not mad about it. I'm not upset. I'm just happy. I'm happy to see younger officials get out there, because older officials are retiring and other officials are just leaving because they don't want to deal with all the stuff that's going on. They're done with it. So for these younger officials to go in there and step in and make some calls, I'm okay with that.
Did you ever officiate?
No.
I umpired in high school. That was my high school job, was umpiring.
I mean, I remember doing like little stuff in high school, like with little kids basketball or volleyball, but nothing along the levels that I.
Well, not like high. I never did high school. Actually, I did do high school because, well, that's it. I don't want to get into that story, but I actually officiated.
Did you have a great strikeout call?
It was pretty average. I did the step back. I like the step back strike 3 call. But actually, I umpired my own high school's game because in like my jersey, because an umpire crew didn't show up as my camera just disappeared. But
that's so weird with your camera.
Whenever I move the wire, it just turns off. All right, let's.
We got to get to a break anyway. Riley Gates is going to join us next, and real quickly though, before we get to that, Brian chiming in here on our F&B Bank text line talking about. The official said, as an official, you block out the crowd. I've had some people scream and yell at our group, and you don't hear it because you're paying attention to your job, and that's great. But the coach, you can't ignore the coaches who are yelling and screaming at you.
True.
You're right there at point blank range, and
they're usually right. Unfortunately, they're usually
the coaches or the officials.
Right. The coaches.
I mean, they might be, but you know what? What are you going to do if you're going to get all up on the officials' business and stuff? They're not going to do it, and then you don't have games. Then you're not coaching.
Right, 100%. 100%.
All right, Riley Gates joins us next here on the Morning Blitz.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
It's time now for news from the world of agriculture on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin Walters. The cattle market had a great 2024, but Scott Varelick of KKV Trading in Iowa says January typically isn't the best month to market cattle.
Feels like we usually advertise some packer kill cuts. They do some of their cooler cleanouts or some maintenance. So we usually see those seasonally happen. So when that starts to be talked about by packers, it's not a surprise. And they like to really overplay that and stand up on a mountain and preach it. But I would expect some of that to come based on our tighter supply. And it's a way to back up cattle for them. And we just get past our big demand season and some of that excellent shelf business that we get there. So would expect that we kind of lull just a little bit because we always feel like, hey, spring's coming. Let's get that spring demand kind of kicking in. And it's just too early yet.
He says cash markets were particularly strong in December.
High cash prices have been what's leading us here. It led us out of the gutter this last break that we had. And it just feels different. If you look back for years, producers have not had this kind of leverage in a long time. And we have it. We've got all packers bidding. We're able to pass. We're able to take bids and choose where we're going. We've got people getting live bids that never get live bids in some of those remote areas. So it feels like we have the upper hand on the live cattle cash side.
Varlick thinks that leverage will stay on the producer side into early 2025.
I see a lot of confidence, especially in this cash feeder market. I mean, these prices really, there was about a 5 or 6 week stretch that they just went straight up. I feel like we saw maybe some heifers getting held back earlier in this fall. And then as we've just climbed real fast, it's getting tougher to think, are we going to be able to rebuild this cow herd or not? Just with the sheer cost that it is. I mean, it's a $2,000 heifer calf, and it's going to cost, my cowboy math says about $1,000 per year on that animal.
That was Scott Varlick of KKV Trading. For the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network, I'm Caitlin Walters.
Kochia ranks among the most troublesome weeds in fallow.
March 15th, 2025. 0% financing means keeping more in your wallet for better ROI. Talk to your BASF retailer today about the Grower Finance Program. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions. See BASF Grower Finance Program for details. Always read and follow label directions.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks, and you're listening to my main man, Ross Volkmer. He may be a Husker, but he also knows how to rock chalk. And you're listening to the Morning Blitz right here on 102.5 You Rock.
About 20 minutes to the top of the hour here on a Wednesday morning, January the 8th. Once again, going to be 37 the high today. Currently, temperatures just into the double figures here in northwest Kansas. I wonder what the weather's like down where Riley Gates, our good friend from On3 Sports, is like. How have you guys been surviving this winter vortex, Riley?
You said it's double digits there?
Yes, 11.
Oh, my goodness, dude. It's 1 degree here.
We had our
I just checked again, so I was like, surely maybe because I got up, went to the gym this morning. When I got back, it was -2.
Nice.
And when you said it was double digits, I'm like, oh, maybe the sun came out. Nope, I just checked. It is 1 degree here in Hutchinson, Kansas.
We're having a heat wave. Yeah, we're having a heat wave over here. So we're having. That's all right. Warmer temperatures are on the way today, or maybe probably tomorrow for you guys over there in Hutch. How much snow did you guys get down there?
I never really measured it. Probably I want to say it probably was between 7 and 10 inches. It was pretty bad. I joked because I knew the snow was coming, and I set my alarm for church on Sunday, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go before the snow. And I got up, and I was like, God, it's coming down bad. I was like, I think I'm just gonna not I don't want to roll these dice. And sure enough, I woke up an hour later. I don't think I would have made it home. So I think I made the right choice. It got pretty bad, but man, my parents back in Beloit, they got 16 inches. It was crazy.
Oh my, that's just backbreaking snow right there. That's backbreaking snow. When you're trying to do that, that's rough. Riley Gates, our guest from On3 Sports. I'll start with a tough subject here. K-State basketball. I know you're a K-State alum. I know you follow from afar. Wildcats losing at Oklahoma State last night. Well, what's going on? Well, why can't the Wildcats get a win on the road in particular?
I wish I had an answer for you. Like, I really do. And I don't want to sit here and speculate on or give you a fake answer and ramble. It's just, they're just not a very good team. They're not a very good team. They don't have leaders. And it just really makes you wonder, is Jerome Tang the coach that we thought he was when he had two All-Americans on his team in Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel? I mean, he gets credit for coaching those guys because we all knew Marquise Noel was not that great of a player under Bruce Weber, and he elevated him. But there's just no reason to believe in this program right now. And I hate to be so blunt. I hate to be so negative, but it's like my brother and I kind of keep getting into back and forth over text, just like he thinks I'm being negative, cheering against the team. Well, I'm just like, no, I'm just being realist with you. They're not a good team. They don't have any leaders. They've insanely overpaid for this roster, and it's been a massive letdown. And there's really no way you can spin it otherwise. And Jerome Tang, he gave it the positive spin last night in the press conference. Oh, you're supposed to win your home games and steal a few on the road. Well, I got bad news for you. You've already lost a bunch of road games. I mean, you've lost your last 4. You've lost your last 12 as a program overall. You've won one home game, and it was against a ranked team at the time. That's good. I don't really think Cincinnati will hold up to be ranked, but okay, you're supposed to win your home games. You're going to go beat Houston on Saturday at home? I highly doubt it. So it's really just as simple as they're not a very good team. They don't have anybody that's leading them.
Yeah, tough shot. It's a tough spot to be in. I've sat here and said on this show before, I think probably the worst thing that could have happened for Kansas State basketball was to have such great success in that first season, because then you have Tang go out there and get a big extension and all that stuff. And not saying that Tang needs to be let go or anything like that, but you put yourself behind the 8 ball, and now he's struggling to win basketball games after a great year where all the pieces aligned.
But see, and I'm not going to like totally push back. I'm just going to slightly push back on you there. It wasn't a bad thing that they went to the Elite 8 and they contended in the Big 12. I mean, that's great to set your bar that high, but nobody at K-State expects you to make the Elite 8 every year. They don't expect you to win the Big 12 every year. They expect you to be in the field. That's what that was when I worked for Fitz at Go Power Cat, in the years, right, the ending of the Bruce Weber era, when everybody was fighting against me, saying I was negative, and fighting against us, saying we just hated Bruce Weber. Nobody was expecting to be national championship contenders. They expected you to make a field of 68 teams, which is not a hard task to accomplish. It's really not. You got to win 8 Big 12 games, maybe 9 Big 12 games, and you will be right there on the bubble, probably in. And at the end of the Bruce Weber era, and now in year 3 of Jerome Tang, they're not even sniffing it. So I don't think the bar was set too high by making the Elite 8. It's just you set it high, and then you've not just failed to meet the bar. You've plummeted off of the ladder. I mean, you're not even sniffing the bar right now.
Riley Gates is our guest from On3 Sports. Let's transfer over into college football. The transfer portal is once again popping after a little bit of a dead period there. What's been some of the storylines or maybe some of the teams that have caught your eye when it comes to the transfer portal? And you guys do a great job of coverage of that on On3.
Yeah, it's just it feels like there's a different team or a different position group to keep your eye on every single day that you wake up. So it's really been a fun cycle. But yeah, I think kind of one of the more telling, or maybe not telling, one of the more interesting storylines we've had this year is it really hasn't been like QB heavy. In the past we've had like Notre Dame getting Sam Hartman, Notre Dame getting Riley Leonard. We've had DJU bounce around, and I really just haven't seen that many massive names bouncing around. There's been a couple ones, but it's not like this is all about the quarterback this year. And I think that's interesting. In the Big 12, one of the most intriguing transfer teams has been Texas Tech. I mean, they sit at the top of our transfer rankings right now, with 17 transfers coming in. I mean, it's kind of crazy how they've been doing that. And they could sneak their way up into Big 12 contention next year. I think Ole Miss is going to be an interesting one to watch, just because we know how Lane Kiffin works the portal. And this was a team this year that he built out of the portal to go to the college football playoff, and obviously failed to accomplish that. So, what is he going to do now that the season's over? Is he going to attack the portal hard here? Is he going to try to build in high school? And that's kind of something I think we have to wait and play out. And I just think kind of right now, Oregon is probably making a big splash too. They got Bear Alexander, the former Georgia defensive lineman turned USC defensive lineman, now Oregon defensive lineman. He's got a big frame. He's a good player, and I think he's got potential. He just hasn't really been able to find his spot yet. And then they also got Malik Benson yesterday, the wide receiver transfer who was eyeing K-State, had him in his final 3 or 4, I think. And K-State obviously wasn't able to get him there, but Oregon, obviously a program that on the rise in the Big Ten, probably going to be in the national picture, and definitely getting players like Malik Benson is going to keep him up there. So that was kind of just the recent ones off the top of my head. It's been a long month, honestly, just trying to track all the movements. So it's kind of tough to break it all down in one swing. But yeah, I think it's going to start to wind down here, and then as we approach the spring window, it'll get going back up again.
I've got another question about the transfer portal. What do you think Georgia, and it's kind of about quarterbacks, what do you think Georgia's going to do with their quarterback spot? Are they going to stick with Gunnar Stockton, or are they going to try to look for someone with a little more experience?
I think they'll go with Gunnar Stockton. I think he didn't play all that great in the college football playoff game, but he did come in, and I feel like people kind of readjusted the way that they thought about that SEC championship game. Like, since he didn't put up massive numbers, they're like, oh, he just came in for a drive or two and held a lead and beat Texas. No, he came in with an entire half to play, and he didn't botch the game away. He actually did a pretty good job of holding on to onto the pace of the game, and obviously carried Georgia. So I think an entire season with him in the system, he kind of gets feet under him as QB1. I think he'll remain there and be the starter next year, especially now that Jaden Rashada has transferred out of the program. We know who Jaden Rashada, bouncing around with Florida and Arizona State, and obviously now Georgia, kind of a former big NIL story there. So I think they'll go with Gunnar Stockton, and I think they might try to find somebody maybe to back him up, or maybe push him in camp. But the big names are really gone. John Mateer went to Oklahoma. Malik Murphy landed at Oregon State. There was a little bit of chatter about him not signing with Oregon State, but he has now. Miller Moss ended up at Louisville. So you really just don't have those big names out there that I think Georgia's going to move mountains to go get and be their starter. So I think they'll go with Gunnar Stockton and just kind of try to build behind him.
Riley Gates is our guest from On3 Sports. Riley, I want to ask a question about the local schools in KU and K-State, and when it comes to the portal, but those two teams also, I feel like, really want to be developmental programs, bring in kids from the high school level and develop them. How do you walk that fine line, in your opinion? How do teams walk that fine line between being a developmental program and trying to build your team with the transfer portal to make yourself good each year in, year out? It's a very tough line to walk, because you could try to bring a kid in and develop him for a year or two, and then you didn't get to play, and then he's off transferring somewhere else. So I was curious, with all the teams that you follow, how do you see that story playing out over the coming years?
I think both programs, I think we've seen that they need to build in high school. Let's just look at K-State, just because I'm going to be able to rattle off a lot more successful K-State players than KU, just because I'm more familiar with the program. You look at QB, Avery Johnson High School. You go DJ Giddens, not only a high school kid, but an overlooked high school kid who really wasn't developed going into college, becomes a great Big 12 running back. So you got Deuce Vaughn, obviously, was a high school kid. So we've seen the most successful high school kids, for the most part, are where K-State gets their help. But K-State can't just rely on it, because it's not a game where you can no longer do that and be contenders. And that's why we've seen them dip into it a lot heavier recently. I look at this year's cycle, Gabe Irvin, the running back from Nebraska. It's like, okay, does K-State really need a running back help right now? It's like, well, Dylan Edwards is there. We saw him in the bowl game. And Joe Jackson's going to be coming back. It's like they don't really necessarily need running back depth, but they know, hey, this is a talented running back. He can provide us a spark, or he can be a battering ram, anything like that. Not taking him, if he wants to come in here, would kind of be silly on our part to not try to be a better program. So I think both K-State and KU will continue to just be heavy on the high school kids. That'll be their main focus. But to sit here and act like they're not going to go out and get 10, 12, maybe 15 kids in the portal in a year, that's just not going to happen. It's not the way the game's trending. And I think it's how programs fall behind. I mean, Clemson, yes, I know that they went to the ACC championship game, obviously end up in the college football playoff, but it's like you just can't sustain that. And I think that's why we've seen Dabo Swinney even go get a couple transfers this year. He knows that's the way it's going, and trying to push back on that doesn't work.
Riley, obviously with the college football playoffs coming up Thursday, Friday, I kind of just want to get your perspective as a K-State fan watching Will Howard succeed with Ohio State, especially late in the season.
I love it. I took a lot of heat early in Will Howard's career just because, he's a freshman out there throwing picks, playing poorly during that 2020 season. And I just always thought he kind of didn't get a fair shake from the fan base. Even after winning a Big 12 championship, it was always, we want Adrian Martinez. We want Avery Johnson to come in and be the starter. And so I just kind of felt like Will gave everything he had to K-State and maybe never necessarily got the whole recipient back of it. And so I'm really happy that he's going out and doing that. And there's no question that he's not the one that's elevating Ohio State. I think anybody would be silly to think, if Ohio State didn't have Will Howard, they wouldn't be in this position. No, because they probably could have went and got another portal quarterback and been good. But there's no doubt about it that he's played well enough to be the guy and to get the credit this year. And he's working with a great group of players. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith is something special that we haven't seen in a while in college football. So I'm super happy for Will. I'm not a big Ohio State fan, so I'm like caught in this middle ground of, I want Will to win. I don't necessarily want Ohio State to win, but I'm going to be really happy for him no matter what. And I think even if they lose this next game, I think he's had a memorable run and probably made himself a little bit of money. I don't know if he's going to be a starting NFL quarterback necessarily, but I think he'll get a camp invite. He'll probably get drafted and make a few paychecks at least. So that's good for him.
Riley Gates of On3 Sports. Final one for me, Riley, before I let you go. What do you think of the college football playoffs Final Four? Just the overall thought of the four teams, and who do you think will be playing for a national championship?
Yeah, on that Ohio State game, I think it'll be Ohio State. I think Texas is a great team. Obviously, they have a really good defense, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to slow Ohio State down with what we saw against Oregon. They gave up over 500 offensive yards to Arizona State, and I love Arizona State. It was a great story. Obviously, Cam Scatterbo is fun, but the offense of Ohio State is significantly better than that of Arizona State, and so I think Ohio State will beat Texas. I don't know if it'll be a blowout or not. I'd like to get Texas over a touchdown, sitting at 6 or 6.5 firmly. But I think it'll be kind of a tighter game. And then on the other side, it'll just be a blast. I bet you have some people complaining about the Notre Dame Penn State game because it'll probably be like 13-10 or 17-13 or something like that. Like it's going to be a low defensive grinding game, but I think it'll be a great football game. And if you can appreciate good defense, you'll love it. So I'm going to take Ohio State on that side. I'm going to lean Notre Dame, but I don't love it just because it does feel like I need to see Penn. I don't want to say they haven't won a big game because winning 2 college football playoff games is big, but I need to see James Franklin beat a team like this. I have to see him beat this Notre Dame team before I buy in. So I'm going to go Notre Dame and Ohio State, and then I think Notre Dame can cause fits. I have a ticket on Notre Dame to win the national championship, so I kind of hope they do. But I think, gun to my head, I would have to say Ohio State over Notre Dame.
He is Riley Gates of On3 Sports. Riley, thank you so much for squeezing us in today. Really appreciate it. We'll catch up here down the road. All right, buddy?
Anytime, my man.
All right. Thank you, sir. Once again, great stuff there from Riley Gates of On3 Sports. Take a break, come back, wrap the show with some more college basketball and some news from the NFL. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
At FNB Bank, we understand the backbone of our community is our local farmers and ranchers. Whether you're growing crops, raising livestock, or investing in new equipment, we're here to help you succeed. Our agricultural loans are tailored to meet the unique needs of your farm, with flexible terms from people who understand what it takes to make it in agriculture. When you partner with FNB Bank, you're working with neighbors who know the land and are invested in your success. FNB Bank, rooted in our community, growing with you. Member FDIC.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway, because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Wrapping up a show here on a Wednesday. We talked, of course, with Riley Gates about K-State basketball. They lost on the road to Oklahoma State last night, 79-66. They're 7-7 overall, 1-2 in the Big 12. After that loss last night, Coleman Hawkins had a 18 points lead the way. David Son had a double-double of 12 and 12. But it was a close game early. They were up 23. Sorry, they were down just one, 23-22, but then a 20-2 run to close the first half and 43-24 at halftime. And that was kind of all she wrote for Kansas State. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. And then I think we're coming up on a year since they've won a road game. So it's been a while for Kansas State to win a road game. They will, and guess what? It's not going to get a whole lot better because they're going to host 12th ranked Houston coming up on Saturday. So it will not be a whole lot easier for the Wildcats. Although they do get it home, which is certainly a big advantage to play there in Bramlage. And I mentioned right in the early show, Nebraska basketball played last night. They lost in overtime to Iowa. Nebraska was up by 15 points early in the second half. And then Josh Dix and Peyton Stanford went off. They combined for 61 points of the two of those guys. They came back and win it in overtime, 97-87. And Nebraska, their third loss of the season, their second. Nebraska cannot win on the road in the Big Ten. Got to find a way.
Can anyone win on the road in their division?
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like anyone
I love the quote from Nebraska's super senior forward, Jawan Gary. Winning at home is for the boys. Men win on the road. We got to find a way to become men and win on the road. Love that quote. Men win on the road. Boys win at home. Love that. Kansas will have a chance to be some boys and win at home today. They've got to try to get a back-to-back win. They got 10-win Arizona State team in the Fog tonight. That will be on Flower Country 97.9 at 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain Time tip. That'll be on ESPN2, The Deuce, if you want to watch that. Also tonight, Colorado is on ESPN Plus. They are looking to end a two-game skid to open up the conference. They face UCF in Orlando, which we all learned that's not very hard. Kansas took care of them, so we should see a Colorado win, right? Should see that. Also, Forties Tech Northwest is at Barton tonight, Colby Community College at Dodge City. So just a quick one day off after a game's Monday and back to the regular schedule on a Wednesday. So Tech Tigers at Barton, Trojans down at Dodge City taking on the Conquistadors.
Going back to the KU game, KU's favored by 13.5. Would love to see them cover
13.
that tonight. Would love to see them cover that tonight, especially at home.
They're not dropping back-to-back home games. They're going to win.
No, I know they're not, but that's what I'm saying. I want to see them cover. I want to see them cover. I want to win. I want them to win by. I want to see this.
Can't you just take a win and be happy?
No.
No.
What? No, but I mean, they've got to win they've got to get some more momentum. They've got to carry this momentum from the UCF game, and keep rolling. Keep rolling.
By the way, we're talking golf right out of the gates, talking about.
Yes, I was going to ask you about this.
But did you watch the TGL, the opener of the TGL?
We were calling games during the TGL,
obviously. Did you go back and watch any highlights?
I'm going to do it tonight, but I've seen the ads for it. It looks sick. It looks absolutely sick. I know, some, older generation.
This was totally designed by Tiger Woods. You want to know why it was totally designed by Tiger Woods?
It was Tiger and Rory.
I know. Do you want to know why it was totally Tiger? I think it was mostly Tiger's idea. It's because Tiger can't walk the course anymore. His body's in such bad shape, he can't walk the course. So why not just have a place where you don't have to walk? You can just hit shots.
Yeah, that might be
totally
true.
designed for Tiger. Absolutely.
It's sick, though. It's really cool looking.
My question is why? Why are we doing this indoor golf deal? Don't we play year-round in warm places like in Arizona and Hawaii? Why are we playing indoors now in Florida?
Because that's already a thing.
But these guys, they're going to play in the regular tour, aren't they? Or are they just going to play TGL and this? They're just going to play both.
They're going to play both.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like there's already outdoor golf. It's the PGA Tour and Live Golf.
So now let's have indoor golf where we hit into a massive simulator and then the green it makes undulation changes and things of that sort. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to watch.
Technology, Ross, is cool.
I guess. We'll see. I don't know. Golf was fine the way.
I don't know. Maybe I might hate it. I haven't watched it. I've just seen the ads.
I know. I haven't watched it either, but I did find it interesting. They did a whole spiel on it yesterday afternoon, trying to promote it like, hey, tune in and watch this. I'm like, okay. And we can just go outside in Jupiter, Florida and play golf on any course you want to. Okay. Anyway.
And you can also watch that. That's also something you can watch.
True. You can watch that as well. All right, on to the walk-off.
High drive, deep left, grand slam, and back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman, jackpot, Kansas City.
So we were talking yesterday about head coaches who could go to some of these franchises like the Jets or the Bears that have pretty good rosters, but just need really good, strong leadership, someone who's been there and done that. How about the Bears? Maybe doing something semi-smart, bringing in Pete Carroll. I like that. Pete Carroll's had success in the NFL. He's a leader of men. I don't mind this all that bad. I think that'd be a good hire for the Bears. Actually, the first right move I've seen the Bears make in a long time, besides maybe drafting Caleb Williams.
Well, they didn't hire him, did they?
No, but they're bringing him in for an interview. I mean, if they were to hire him. Shoot. You're all stuck on the young gun coordinator.
No, I'm not stuck on the young guns.
Yeah,
But Pete Carroll is 80,000 years old.
And he's pretty spry.
We got to get someone in there that can move with Caleb Williams a little more than Pete Carroll.
Bring in a young OC then. You need a leader. It's not just about Caleb Williams. It's a team game.
Why does the leader of men have to be ancient?
Because they don't make them like they used to anymore.
But there's got to be some younger bucks that can still lead men. I mean, what are we? Pete Carroll is literally so old. How old is Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll.
I'm guessing he's probably as close to 80. I'm guessing he's upper
73.
Oh, he's only 73? Oh, he's got tons of time. Tons of time. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
I thought it was like 85. Anyway, dude, he's
a lot younger. Bring him in.
Old.
I think it's good. Maybe Pete
No,
Carroll back in the NFL. Anything else in mind before we get out of here? You like Verlander to the Giants for?
That's the thing I was going to say. Verlander to the Giants, and then Brent Rooker with a big extension. That's someone Royals fans are a little familiar with. He played with us for a bit, sucked, went to the A's, now is an all-star. Verlander to the Giants is weird. He's just weird to me. Why did the Giants do this?
He's winning at life.
Oh, 100%. But the Giants are such an odd place. You're not going to be better than the Dodgers, and then they just bring in old guys to do something, and it never works.
And, of course, Tennessee loses to Florida by 30. That's the #1 team in the country. See you tomorrow here on The Blitz.